What's up, guys, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Seaway Sports Lounge presents the Canadiens Corners. I will be your host for this show, Tayfun. We're going to be talking about a lot of interesting things. I'd like to start by just explaining what we're going to do. I plan to do a lot of coverage on the Montreal Canadiens this year. Specifically, we're going to talk about the roster, injuries, what's in store, if there's any trades coming, anything like that. Now that everyone's a little bit aware, I'm going to jump right into it. I'm going to start with the roster for the first game of the season against the Leafs. They managed to win that game with 18 seconds left, 4-3. I was quite impressed with that game, and they started with a surprising scratch to most. The way he's played, though, to me, it's not fully surprising. Jonathan Drouin was a scratch that night, but they still managed to win. The team didn't look like it was totally missing or out of place even without him on the lineup. Now, for the next game, they said that they're going to go with the same roster, which means Drouin would be a scratch again. Now, I'm okay with that. I mean, they did win the first game. Why would you fix it if it's not broken? I have heard a big part of why he's being scratched is he came to camp not ready. He said he's not in shape. If that's the case, then it's warranted. They are also playing with significant amount of injuries. Price, Byron are likely finished and won't be returning ever again. I've heard Byron's had many setbacks according to Kent Hughes. Price, he's supposed to have a interview next week to talk about his knee. I have heard many different things about it, and I'd like to hear what he has to say, and I'm sure everyone else would as well. They were missing Mike Matheson for the first game. They said he was day-to-day. He has now been moved to the IR, and he's going to be out about 8 weeks, so that's going to be a big hole on the defense for the Habs, so hoping these young kids can keep it going. That being said, they're also missing Armia for about 2 weeks, and Emil Heinemann has a thumb injury, but I believe the plan for him is he's going back to Sweden once that's healed. Let's get a little into the roster. Let's talk a little bit about the rookies. We had Xhekaj, Goulet, and Slavkovsky making their NHL debuts for the opener. And then you had Harris, who had some experience, but he's still a rookie because he only played a handful of games last season. I think they all played very well. Yes, Slavkovsky's ice time was limited to third-line minutes, but only 5-on-5. He had no power play, no 4-on-4, which so I'm okay with as well, and no penalty kill. St. Louis made a good point saying he needs to learn the game before he does those things, so he's going to watch a little bit, which is perfectly good. I'm okay with that. Every player has to learn, and they want him to learn that. In the game, we saw also Goulet, who didn't look out of place, and I think Savard is probably the happiest guy of this whole thing because that was his partner. Arbor Xhekaj, wow, what a defenseman for his size. He's got some great mobility, great skating, and he broke up some very, very important plays that could have led to goals. Jordan Harris, he looked very good. He actually was one of the next to, I think, Cole Caulfield, he had the most scoring chances created, they were saying, which is excellent. So we have a lot of good things going forward. When it comes to goaltending, Jake Allen looked very good. I'm not saying that the Habs are going to be amazing after that one game. You can't say something like that. I still believe it's going to be a long season, but it's going to be a fun one is what I'm thinking. I believe a lot of that game had to do with Matt Murray having a bad game. He did not look very good overall. 19 saves, 23 shots, allowing 4 goals, and they beat him in the same spot 3 times over that shoulder. Toronto needs to adjust that. I think they'd be better. They may have been better if they played Samsonov, which we saw in Game 2 that he played a lot better than his counterpart did in their first game. Now, moving on, talking about the Habs, it looks as well like the Laval Rocket have set up their roster. It seemed like Mezar was going to make it, but they still decided that he's going down to the OHL, which is fine. They just wanted to burn it up for a year and go from there. I guess that's fine. Let's give the kid a confidence boost. Let's make him feel better. There's nothing wrong with that. In Laval, they had a season-ending injury already. Unfortunately for Johnny Fairbrother, one of our older, I guess you say, prospects, he's about 22, 23. He blew out his knee, I believe, and he's out for season already. It's tough for a guy like that because he was on the cusp of being an NHLer, and now that happened, especially being part of the old management group, he likely is going to fall off the depth chart very fast. Pretty much it. Also, I wanted to mention a little bit about some of our big prospects like Riley Kidney, Joshua Roy, Lane Hudson, one of our guys, Rhett Pitlick, which is the brother of Rem. Maybe a little bit about Owen Beck. Everyone likes Owen Beck. I like Owen Beck, actually. So far in the queue, respectively, Joshua Roy is sitting 5th and Riley Kidney is sitting 7th in the league scoring. Kidney has 11 in 6 games, and Joshua Roy has 12 in 5, which is excellent. Joshua Roy, his whole line is the top scorers, actually. 1, 2, I believe 1, 2, and then he's 5. Yeah, his whole top line has been scoring like crazy. Owen Beck, from what I saw, he hadn't scored yet, but his defensive play was immaculate, and that's one of the big reasons we have him. He's very good defensively, and he's great on faceoffs as well. Lane Hudson, he's off to a dynamic start for a college career from what I've been reading. Rhett Pitlick is going to likely have a very good season. He's a good player. He's a little bit undersized, but he'll be playing with Matthew Nyes this season, and from what I've seen the first couple of games, he was on fire already, so that's going to help a lot for him. I was also going to mention Kent Hughes' interview. He was supposed to have that on Monday. It got moved to Wednesday. I'm assuming it had to do with mainly just being so busy with trying to fix the cap and everything. He's the one who mentioned that Carey Price is supposed to have an interview next week, is what it was. There's no actual date, but he said next week there's supposed to be an interview. He also mentioned, he was the one that mentioned that the plan was to still send Mejar down because they just wanted to burn or OHL, so they don't want to rush anybody, which I get. I totally get. I still believe when it comes to rushing players, I still think that Slavkovsky's going to go down once Joel Armia comes back. I truly do. I don't see it being something that they plan to do to keep him the whole season. He needs to stay. Friday, they'll be playing Detroit. Saturday is against the Capitals. From what I understand, they said same lines are going Friday. See how it goes. And then Saturday, they might have a change. That's the plan. I don't have much more. I think I'll leave it at that, just for the opening, for a first episode. Let everyone get a taste and let me know what you think. Leave a like and sub if you like it. Anyways, guys, this is the first episode, and I'm going to do more. I'm probably going to do some reactions after games, too, to see how everyone is and see how I felt about that game. Anyways, guys, you have a good day. I hope you enjoyed the SSL.